All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I know a couple of people will be coming in probably a few minutes late, but as with everything else, 21st century educators, we like to start on time, right? And of course, the recording will be made available after the session. So welcome to our session on financial wellness. This is our first session of its kind, but we really did feel that this year we wanted to focus on the whole educator, not just, I know we've been doing health and wellness, looking at our bodies and minds, but we also feel like teachers need to focus as well on how we spend, how we save. And so this is part one, and we have with us Torza Davis, who is going to conduct the session. And of course, we expect that if you have questions or comments, feel free, put them in the chat, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. And Torza has a little surprise for some of us to talk. She will talk about that, but I really am happy to have Torza here with us. She's a financial advisor, and she's also a former teacher. So she knows, the struggle sometimes we have as teachers in terms of our finances. And she's here to talk to us specifically about health and retirement. So I'm going to hand over to Torza now, and she's going to conduct the session. So Torza, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Miss Leanne, and big thank you to 21st Century Educators for putting on a session, first of its kind. I'm really happy and thankful to be here to share these great concepts with our wonderful teachers in Trinidad and across the Caribbean. So my name is Torza Davis. Most importantly, I was a teacher. I taught geography at Toko Secondary School. Yes, in Trinidad, we call it country school. It was one of the best experiences I ever had. But as a teacher, we also, not only do we have to prepare the curriculum, present it, and find innovative ways to always keep the children's and hold the children's interest, but we also have to think about ourselves. So today, my presentation zooms in specifically on retirement and health, right? And for us, retirement, a lot of us, we are still very young and we may be thinking, I have a whole lot of time. And as it relates to health as well, most of us, we spend so much of our time working, trying to make it day-to-day, taking care of our children, we neglect our health. So today, I'm gonna help you refocus on these two concepts that are quite important to each one of us. And in addition, just a little side note, we have two prizes. I don't know how we'll work out with the persons from the islands, but we could arrange something. We have a smart socket that is up for grabs and a very big hamper that is behind me as well. And all you have to do is fill out our survey where you put your name and your contact number so that once your information is pulled, you can be contacted in order to have these prizes. So the link is in the chat and I'll put it in again as the session progresses. So retirement and health. This is a very interesting question. Are you adequately covered? Most of us would say, yes, I'm very good. I'm very covered. I have everything in place. However, when we get into it and I ask them, what if you live to a ripe old age? A lot of us, we have big plans. We want to travel. We want to do a lot of things that we did not get to do during our working years. Would we have enough income to provide for ourselves during retirement? And will it be sufficient to cater for inflation? Those of us who are from Trinidad, we know inflation is a real thing, because when we were small, bread was, what, $2 for a loaf? Now it's almost $20, right? Changes in living expenses. COVID added even more to some of us, our day-to-day living expenses, and the standard of living has since gone up, right? Long-term care. When we talk about long-term care, we're not only talking about becoming old and maybe you may be in a home, not like that. But if you were to get critically ill, what do we have in place to make sure we can take care of ourselves? So straight in, I know some of us teach math. How do we encapsulate inflation and what exactly does it mean? So I used a current income of $12,000. Some may be making less, some may be making more, but that's just a ballpark figure I decided to work with. So let's say you're currently making $12,000. You have 5 more years before you retire. 6% inflation is on average what inflation is in Trinidad right now. That has since gone up, but we work with 6%. At retirement, you're going to need $6,000 and $6,059 to maintain your current standard of living. So when we process that, many of us are going to think, okay, how am I going to get that 16,000 when I'm currently working for 12? By the time I retire in 5 years, I'm not going to be making more than 12. However, you do not get that full 12 when you do retire. And of course, from this same table, what we see here is the further we are away from retirement, the figure is even higher. So we need to start now. We need to start thinking about it and coming up with some sort of plan, right? Just to give you a comparison on how procrastination could be the thief of time, I have 2 persons. I have Carla and I have Jack. Carla is 45. Carla decides she wants to invest $500 a month into a pension. So she has 15 more years to put $6,000 each year. She would have accumulated $97,665.36 at age 60, right? Okay, 97,000. How long do you think this is going to last, Carla? Can this last Carla for the rest of her life? The life expectancy is about 80 now in Trinidad. It has gone up, you know, medicine has gone a long way. Most persons are doing routine checkups from time to time, and they are indeed taking care of themselves and exercising more. So the life expectancy has now gone up. And Carla is hoping that this 97,665 could last 20 years or more. Given the standard of living right now, can that last? I don't think so. Jack is 35. So Jack thinks he has 25 years till retirement. So, you know, 6,000 a year would yield him $204,744. Can Jack's $204,000 last him for the rest of his life? Most persons, when they vest their pension, when we say vest, we mean you reach 60 and Guardian Life or any other company, Tatel, Sagicor, they call you and say your pension has now, it's time to vest your pension with us, and you're not getting these accumulations all in hand. You're not getting 97,000 and you're not getting 204,000 either. These amounts are indeed going to be taxed 25% in Trinidad. I'm not sure what's the tax on in the islands, but in Trinidad, we know government takes 25%, right? So the government would be taking 25%, and thereafter, your monthly income would be calculated, right? Right? And thereafter, your income would be calculated, which is usually not very much, right? So are we prepared for an income loss? Okay, we're not expecting the worst, but this is just a reality. An income loss is indeed inevitable. When you retire, you would be entitled to on average 1/3 to half of what your retired salary, what you retired making. And most teachers here in Trinidad and the other islands as well, you're still working on a salary from how much ever years prior. but we still have to find a way to make it work and put something in place, right? And this is also, oh, my clock at home is chiming. I apologize. So how do we want to spend our money when we retire? We have great ideas and fantasies about how we want to live our best life when we retire. Do all the things that we didn't get to do because we were stressed out, you know, we had to go to seminars, we had to correct SBAs, we had all these things doing. And of course, we had our families at a very critical stage, especially our children and their education. So how can we make sure we have a guaranteed paycheck, money that could allow us to enjoy the finer things in life, to travel, to do hobbies, and of course, most importantly, to leave a legacy for the younger generation? How are we going to do that? Right? And that's why we are here. So we want to protect who and what's important to us. Most of us, our biggest priority is our family. And what's important to us is their education, right? And our health as well, but we'll get to that. Their education. These are two things that most of us as professionals, we struggle with. We want to make sure family has the best, but we also want to save for children's education. And I'm here to tell you today, we can bridge that gap and we have a solution for it, right? Each company we have different plans to deal with that, but I would highly recommend either you get a pension/annuity and you can couple it with some sort of investment to buffer it, right? An investment, and you can do an investment that would not be taxed. That is the great news. It doesn't have to be taxed. Most people think when they do and let me clarify the difference between an annuity and a pension. We tend to use those words interchangeably. And when we say annuity, that is your contribution phase while you are working and contributing, and your pension is what you collect at the end monthly, right? So I'm going to pause before we get into the health side of it to get any questions that anybody may have. And I'm going to put the link again in the chat where you fill in your name and your contact number for a chance to win a smart socket here. The smart socket is where you could plug in a 3-prong cord like your laptop from your car. It's perfect because most cars have just a USB. So a smart socket and a very huge hamper. So I'm going to take any questions about retirement now.
If you have any questions, you could go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Good evening, everyone. My question is this: as we have seen with COVID and now the war,
Yes.
everything is kind of fluid. What was good yesterday is not good today. It may not be valid tomorrow. What is that line that you at least need to have this amount based on any possible thing that could take place, whether with your family directly or just the world on the whole?
Great question, and I love your accent. Where are you from?
The Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands.
Okay, nice. Welcome and shout out to British Virgin Islands. So that's a very interesting question because as the world changes, every product also changes with it. So in the past, persons may have been purchasing a particular type of life insurance. That would have been 20 years ago, only to hear later down that your policy is no longer valid, or it's eating away at the monies that you would have put away. So it's important for us when we are looking for investments, we look at how these monies are being invested, right? These are the questions you must ask. Anytime somebody lets you know that the majority of this money is being invested in equities, you do not want to put your money there alone, because equities is considered high risk, versus if your money is invested in bonds, corporate bonds, and government bonds, that is a more guaranteed investment opportunity for you. So you want to make sure you ask those questions with regard to how these monies are being invested. So that is the key point to note. Also, with regard to pensions have been governed by the same rules for the longest time. The only thing that has changed are the returns on the pensions. The returns are no longer 4% as they used to be in the past before there was the economic downturn back in 2009. It's now between 2 to 3%. However, these pensions, they try to protect our well-being, because as educators, as teachers, we work for a monthly income. And we have been operating like that since we started working, but budgeting a monthly income. So these pensions are geared towards protecting us from ourselves, where they give you a monthly income. So there are investments that you can mix with your annuity, where you get a lump sum of money in the end. But a lot of research has shown that people who get a lump sum of money, it may not last them for the rest of their lives, right? So these pensions, they have a place and they play a particular role. You don't have to put all your money into a registered annuity. You can diversify as you see fit. And the key in everything, as life changes, COVID has changed the face of everything, but you must do your homework in terms of how these monies are being invested. And I hope I answered your question. Ms. Virgin Islands, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
All right, great. Anyone else? And while we are waiting, I the link is there for us to fill out a very short survey, just your name, your contact number, which topic you may be interested in, and those names and numbers will be placed in a hat, and the draw would be taking place this evening after this session, and you have a chance to win a smart socket and a very big hamper, and trust me, it's a good hamper. Any more questions before we move on to health?
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes. So I know that you're talking about the annuity, right? And yes, what you're saying is, to invest in other things. But for persons like me, I'm not like very versed in terms of investment. So then how you will know? Because like I will see things like in Trinidad, we have like Marcy, they are offering something where you're making like every year they'll put like 3% on.
Yes.
And then, like, if you give them a certain amount, you'll make 3 something. How do I know that that's a good investment? So something good to, take part in then towards my future.
That's an excellent question, Rennie. Well, that's why you have to sit down with an experienced advisor who would be able to pull from the historical data for you. You don't want to just take it, okay, this investment is good. You want to sit down and look at the historical performance of these investments and ask questions. And you could ask it in layman terms. How is this fund performing? What is the payout like? How long has this investment been around? What kind of returns would I get if I put this amount versus this amount, right? And of course, you are letting them know your budget and you want to know how safe your investment is. And that's why I am here and many other advisors around who we are trained to have that conversation with you in order to protect your income. That is the all in all what we are here to do. So meeting different persons who are attached to like Massey, or if you want to invest in stocks, that kind of thing, you can meet persons who specialize in any of these particular areas in order to get more in-depth information in terms of what happens behind the scenes, right? So that is how you can deal with it. And of course, you can reach out to me. We can meet, have a one-on-one in future where we can look at a broad spectrum of all the different investments which are indeed available on the island currently and how they are performing. So that is something we can do. You can put your name in the survey and the chat as well, or you can, if you don't want to type it in the chat, you can send it directly to me and we can have a conversation offline at a future date. Any more questions? Oh, I hope I answered your question. Hi, evening.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Miss Alfred.
Hi, good evening. I have one interesting question. You know, some companies offer, well, agencies and so offer package policies, if I'd like to call it that. So you can have, you shop, as I say, for your annuity, you shop with them for the health. Is that a wise decision for someone to make, to have both, you know, all of their policies with the same organization? And if it is conditional, what are some of the conditions we should look at depending on whether we want an annuity plan, pension plan, and a pension plan, as well as health coverage?
All right. Wonderful, wonderful questions. I got about 3-4 questions in there, Miss Alfred, and that is fine. And that is fine. So to address the first question, which is you want to know if it's okay for everything to be bundled together. Just like everything else in life, you would know exactly what you prefer and what you want. So for example, at Guardian Life, our health is separate and apart from life pensions, right? But we also have products where you can bridge that gap between preparing for your retirement and saving for your children's education. So you can put both together. So after shopping around and looking at returns from different companies, you may decide, okay, this company is giving me a better offer in terms of my returns on a pension, or for the annuity, I'm getting a better pension, my monthly pension. Also, when you're looking at when something is bundled together or having everything under one company, you have to understand if this company goes under, that is everything you stand to lose. So as the old people say, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. However, if you feel comfortable that what this company is offering is great, and the company is solid, you can do that as well. But I can tell you from my experience, certain products are better at certain companies. And let me give you an example. Critical illness at Guardian Life, there's a survivorship period, but with another company, that Sagicor, it is upon diagnosis, they pay, right? That is one point. But there are other fine prints that you have to look for. And outside of health, life insurance, I don't know if they tell you, but there's a clause where suicide clause, they don't pay if suicide is under 2 years. Not that anybody here is going to commit suicide, but that is a clause that most people don't even know exists. There's also a contestability period of 3 years. And there are also exclusions, such as if you die in a war, they don't pay, but everything else they pay, right? So those are two very small points that you should just know for knowledge purposes, right? And what was your last question?
I think you answered and brought clarity based on the questions I had asked. Yeah, regarding the
Nice.
different policies. Thank you.
Most welcome. And of course, Ms. Alfred, don't forget to fill out our survey for a chance to win our smart socket here. Very neat and techy and a very big hamper. It's behind me. I'll show you all shortly. So any more questions before we move on to health?
Yes.
Ms.
Hi, good
Kathleen?
afternoon.
Hi.
Yes, my question is, how soon before you retire can you invest? Let's say you are close to retirement, like 3 years, 4 years. Is it wise to invest or not?
Right. That's a very, very interesting question. If you are 3-4 years away from retirement, that means you're going to have to be putting a whole lot of money monthly in order to get something substantial. And if you live in Trinidad or in any other jurisdiction where the government takes a percentage of that, it is not wise to do a registered annuity. And when I say registered, in Trinidad, our ministry is called the Board of Inland Revenue. They are going to take 25%, even if you've been in it for 1 year. So I would highly recommend you look for some sort of aggressive investment where government would not be taxing some of that money. So I would not recommend one that is registered, meaning you get a tax break every year, right? I'm speaking directly from Trinidad circumstances here, where when we have an annuity, we filling out our tax statements, we put it in there to get back some of our money. I would not suggest a plan like that if you are close to retirement, because that is going to take some time for you to get some substantial growth. So you want to look at an investment type policy, and those exist, right? So of course we can have that conversation in terms of what your returns would be like, and how much you can afford to put, and how these monies are invested. Most importantly, how are your monies being invested? All right. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Most welcome. Any more questions? All righty. So we'll have another question segment after this health part. So our health is our wealth. Do you all agree with me? I think COVID taught us that if it's anything that matters more than anything else, is your health and having food to eat, right? So our health is our wealth. So health plans, how do they function? Many of us wonder how do they function? What can I get? What does it cover? So at Guardian Life, you can have local as well as global coverage. So let's say you travel to the US, you travel to the UK on a vacation for the 2 months vacation, and God forbid something happens to you, you can be covered. We have a plan for that. We also want upfront discounts. So you have the option of getting this discount. So let's say you need a new glasses. Dental and visual are also incorporated into this health plan, right? Spectacles could go all up to $5,000, depending on if you put on what they call it, the clear coating and the transitions. It could go in, it could really be into the thousands. So if your glasses comes up to $3,000, you may get a $2,000 discount and you pay $1,000 right there and then out of pocket, right? We also have a network of providers. So our network of providers, since we're on Vision, We may have value optical, we may have optometrists today. And at these particular locations, you get the maximum discount. So you get up to 80, 85% at these, our network, once you are within our network. Outside of that, you may get 70, 75%, right? So we sit and delve more specifically into it if you're interested in finding out about health and how it operates. And as parents, as mothers, fathers, we want to also make sure our children are covered. So you can add your husband, your wife, your daughters, your sons, even if you have a common law husband, wife, and your adopted children, if you have adopted children as well. So it caters to the whole family and making sure that everyone has access. And in Trinidad, I know most people are afraid to go to the public hospital because of all the horror story we've seen, we've heard, and we know persons who have had horror stories as well, if we haven't had it ourselves as well. So this is just to make sure if anything were to happen to you, you can walk into St. Clair Medical, West Shore, St. Augustine Private Hospital, and you will be dealt with. At our company, you walk into the hospital. If you are in a seriously ill situation or it's an emergency, they will operate, they will take care of you, and then they will deal with the insurance company after. So that is a comfort that you have. That is a peace of mind that you have. And these payments, you have two options. You can pay either for the year or you can pay for half the year. So yes, you may have to come up with a lump sum of money, but once you pay that lump sum, you have the rest of the time to save towards the next payment. So our health plans would deal with dental, visual. We know dental work could get very, very expensive because we want to take care of our teeth. We want to grow old and still look good and be able to smile. So we want to go to the dentist. Our eyesight, of course, it's important, and children are on these computers more and more. So we may have our children maybe complaining, my eyes are burning. So we also need to make sure that their eyes are protected. So the health plan, dental, visual, routine doctor visits, we need to go for our checkups. We need to make sure the stress that the students may be giving us is not going to give us high blood pressure. So we need to keep checking our health. So these are also covered as well. And the event that seems to be extremely final, which is death. But before I get into death, any questions about health plans? Anybody wants to find out anything in particular?
Miss, I didn't get the name of the health company that deals with the health.
Oh, this company, my company is Guardian Life, Guardian Life of the Caribbean Limited. We deal with everything health, including dental and visual. Some companies do not offer dental and visual. So that is a very important question. You need to ask them, do you offer dental and visual coverage as well? And I think dental and visual are two of the most popular things people would claim for. Right? So this company is Guardian Life. I don't have the name of our products here because it's just to share the concepts with you. Of course, we can meet at a future date one-on-one. We can do a virtual as well, where we can delve more into these specifics. Any more questions? Are you all satisfied? Go ahead.
Hi there. I just wanted to know, up to what age can you be part of the health plan?
Well, the health plan can take you all the way up to 75, 80. So it can take you all the way up to old age. However, getting onto a health plan initially at that age would be very, very difficult You
Right.
must be able to pass the medical. So that's why we recommend to persons when you are young and in the pink of health, it is best to get yourself enrolled into a health plan, which you can keep for as long as you wish. Even after you retire, you can hold on to this health plan. So there's no age limit. However, you must be able to pass this medical.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions, concerns? Are you satisfied with the health plan the teaching service has in place?
No, because it only covers you up to retirement.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, and and retirement, during retirement is when we need to be going by the doctor the most, because we're going down in age. So we need to make sure everything is working at optimum still. Any more questions? Alrighty, so for those who just came in, we have a survey link in the chat just to find out your topic of interest. You can choose the one you're interested in most. I know you all may be interested in more than one. And of course, from there, I'll be collating names to put into my hat for a chance to win the smart socket, along with a very, very big, lovely hamper. Take my word for it. It's a nice hamper. You have drinks, you have chocolate, a range of things. Alrighty, so moving on. I mean, this is a very...
Torza, we just have one question.
Yes.
Candace wants to know if more information can be emailed concerning the health plan. So I suppose once she fills out the survey, she can indicate, right?
Of course. Yes. All righty, great. So now we're dealing with a very morbid but real topic, death. This is something we don't really want to think about, but it's real. So death, if death were to occur, you would want to ask, will those we leave behind be able to carry on without our economic input? Would our children be able to go to university? Would they be able to eat? Would they be able to enjoy the things I would have been able to provide if I were here? And therefore, it comes down to money, right? We know our children, our family, they're gonna miss us. But more importantly, have I left, well, just as important, have I left enough money behind to take care of them? Right, so this is a question that most of us may say, yes, I have money in the credit union, I have money stashed away here, money stashed away there. But when we sit down and we do the math and we look at how much money it's really going to take to see a child go straight up to tertiary, we go into the millions. Right, the dollars, it goes into the millions, because it's not just the education, but the overall development of the child, running the household, paying the bills, making sure the mortgage is taken care of, all these things. So with death comes more problems sometimes, because funerals are not cheap. We may leave our family members with a mortgage over their head. They may be forced out of a home if we don't put our house in order. We may have a credit card that is outstanding. Before you die, you may have been sick. So there's a big medical bill waiting for your family to clear. The hospital may offer them a payment plan, but that is still a burden, right? Probate/letters of administration. I'm not sure if anyone here has ever experienced deaths where they had to go to an attorney in order to probate a will. So if you have a will in place, it's called a probate. And if there's no will, everything is all over the place, the lawyer has to do letters of administration. That is also what needs to be done if you do not have a beneficiary on your life insurance policy. So for everyone who's here today, if you have a life insurance in place, please put on a beneficiary. It minimizes a lot of the headache for your loved ones after you are gone, because the insurance company is going to put that money into estate. And when anything that goes into your estate, the attorneys have to file the letters of administration, and that's a long drawn out process before they can access that money. So it's very, very important that we have our beneficiaries clearly named. If you don't have a beneficiary named, that money would go into your estate. And estate means that the attorney has to sit down with you and has to sit down with the family member, and they have to go through every single asset that you would have owned and do a fair share between each person. So each person that you would have left behind, or persons who have an interest, of course. So education expenses as well. The children still need to get their education. Is baby Joe going to, be able to go all the way up to tertiary? And even before then, buy books, school uniform, all these things are still going to be outstanding, right? Nobody's going to feel sorry and say, well, your mom or dad passed, we'll give you this semester free. That is not happening. We have to put our house in order, right? Any questions before we wrap up? Any more questions?
Torza, I would really like, if you could just give an example of how much money you can invest. If you could go back to that example in terms of maybe like a monthly investment would lead to, being able to take care of your family if something were to happen to you, just to be able to break that down for us a little bit.
Okay, sure. So from an annuity perspective or pension perspective, a pension is intended to be a personal investment, right? But however, if you were to die before retirement, you can also put a beneficiary on your pension, so that someone can benefit from the money that you would have accumulated. But as it relates to life insurance and how much is really needed, that is a process where we sit down and we have a conversation. So that conversation would basically be your human life value. What is your human life value? So everyone's human life value is different. So it all depends on your age, the age of your children, and what stage you are at currently in life. So for example, I may sit with someone who is now in their 30s. We would have a very overview of everything. We could do it detailed or we could do it general. There's a rule of thumb that says that you should not have anything less than 10 years worth of the annual income. So if your annual income is 100,000, for easy maths, you want to have 100,000 multiplied by 10 minimum in life insurance, minimum. That is a general rule of thumb. But of course, when we delve into it on a more personal level and we look at all your investments, that 100 by 10 may be a little less because we are already investing somewhere else and it's already yielding returns. So it's a one-on-one. It's a one-on-one conversation. It's a one-on-one interview because everybody's emotional attachment is different. So what is important to me may not be important to Miss Glenda or Miss Alfred. Some of us are very, very concerned. Our main priority is that our children get the best education. So we want to make sure they can have that. Some of us, we want to make sure our retirement is all that we dreamed of. So we also going to look at that. So to answer your question, it is a one-on-one conversation. But if we want to use the rule of thumb, just to start us off, we can do times 10 our annual income. So if we don't have that, or we have more, even better. If we have more, that is fine, but very, very rarely we find that. But we want to make sure that is a start. And when we go more in depth and we meet on a one-on-one, this would also relate to the age of your children. So if your children are babies versus 18 or 17 or at the university level, it would be different. And I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
All right, we have persons still coming in. So of course, don't forget to fill out this, to fill out this survey. From there, I would be pulling names and numbers and drawing it tonight. So I would be, once it's not too late, well, I wouldn't call you tonight. I'll call those very, very lucky individuals first thing in the AM to make arrangements for them to collect their smart socket. A very, very wonderful hamper. It looks like Christmas in there. I'm telling you, that hamper is like a Christmas hamper. So feel free to contact me directly. These are my digits. So of course we can, if you have any more questions, we can schedule a one-on-one, so we can have a very fruitful and enlightening, uplifting, and enriching conversation. Right? And one more point to note, you can draft your own will. I meet a lot of persons and they tell me, you know, I don't have money to go buy an attorney to get my will drafted. You can indeed draft your own will and have 2 witnesses. So look into it. You can draft your own will, lodge it at home. Ideally, it should be lodged at the Hall of Justice. However, 2 witnesses must be present. The witnesses must be present in order for it to be retrieved. And that is sometimes a problem. So of course, you can sit with an attorney, but if you don't have the funds to pay this attorney, you can indeed draft your own will, right? So that is a conversation that is also very important. Most of us, we procrastinate with regard to drafting a will because we think we are going to live forever. We all believe we will. Or at least we feel like that sometimes, but we have to start putting our house in order. All right, so that's basically it for me. Don't forget to fill out the survey and I will be drawing from that survey. I'll be pulling names and numbers and email addresses where necessary to distribute these prizes. So that's it for me.
And thank you very much. Oh, I was going to just say, before we leave, do we have any questions or comments or anything in particular that we may want to look at in terms of the financial aspect? I know Torza, of course, she specifically looked at retirement and health today, but if there are other aspects that you may really want to delve into. I mean, that thing about the will is something I'm hearing for the first time, being able to do that by yourself without a lawyer. Yes. That is new information. Somebody's asking, can the 2 witnesses be family members?
They can, but I would suggest you try to get 2 people who aren't family members, but it can be. But, you know, just to be on the safe side, you can get 2 persons who are not family members as well.
Right, so we want to make sure I'm putting in the survey one more time. Somebody asked if they could see the hamper.
The hamper. Of course. So this, right, so this is it. I'm seeing a Stella Rose non-alcoholic wine. There's a sticky toffee pudding in there. There's a lemonade rosé. Very fine drink in there, and yeah, it's nice. And Haley biscuits. I can't remember the last time I saw Haley biscuits. That's a biscuit from Turkey. It's really, really nice.
So we are going to end here, and of course, look out for more of our sessions. This year, we are encouraging educators to take care of the whole you in 2022. You know, yes, we will continue encouraging you to develop your pedagogical and technological skills, but we also want you to pay attention to your health, to your mental wellness, to your financial status, just being good, well-rounded educators. That is our aim, because you know we really want you to take care of, to be your best self to give to our students. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to fill out the form, and well, we'll see you next time. You're most welcome.
Thank you very
Thank-
much. I'm interested in how to write a will. So I think the next session could be on will writing.
Nice. So we'll probably look at that and get somebody in to talk to us a little more about that.
Yes, that's a great idea. I can help you source an attorney who can deal with wills and trusts as well. So the attorney could also deal with creating a trust fund if you need to. So they would be able to incorporate all aspects.
Wonderful. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.